Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. It's time for another Siege comparison, and this time around we're going to take a look at Hound. And as you can see, there is quite a significant difference between the two, size-wise. Of course, I had always commented that I felt that the original Hound was a bit on the small side. And now standing him up against the modern version of Hound, that truly goes without saying. So size-wise, the new one definitely is a considerable improvement. But he also is an improvement in lots of other ways. Because, I mean, let's face it, on the original was notorious for only having articulation at his elbows, so you can only bring his arms up about so far. Then he just drops his gun. Reach down here into the camera and get the gun back. So since his arms didn't come out far enough to clear, he really couldn't properly aim his gun. So that kind of took away a little bit of the fun with having this toy. Then, of course, there's also the fact that he's got these very fragile side mirrors on him that do break very easily. So I've seen numerous loose samples that have had those broken off. And, of course, we got the neutered missile launcher here on his shoulder. And that's pretty much about all we could do with him. The new Hound here, in addition to being quite bigger, has considerably more articulation. Fortunately, we can't do much with his head. I mean, you can turn it a little, but unfortunately the piece behind it tends to get in your way. It's probably easier if you had smaller fingers. You can look up and down just a little bit. You can rotate his arms at the shoulder all the way. Plus you can bend his arms at the elbow. He does not appear... Yep, nope, he does. He does have a swivel here at the bicep, so you can swivel his arm around. And he apparently also has a joint at the wrist, so you can turn his hands at the wrists. You can also twist him at the hip, like so. His legs can be pulled apart about so far to do near full splits. Raise his leg up at the hip 90 degrees, and you can bend his knee 90 degrees. So, quite an improvement on his range of motion. Plus, of course, since his arms now go out beyond his chest, he can properly aim his gun. Then, of course, as the toy's instructions also show, he does have a super gun that can be formed with all of his gun pieces. We just remove them here. Take the shoulder cannon off. Knock the ammunition piece off. Take the other piece off of his hand. Take the gun off of his hand. Combine the two guns like so. And then attach the ammo cylinder. And then we have this long monstrosity, which they refer to as an HD Vector Beam Mega Blaster. They also seem to recommend mounting it like so onto his shoulders, kind of like an homage to the missile launcher there. But of course we might as well also point out what it says about his weaponry. It states that this one right here is an IR electroscope launcher. It's kind of implying it's a missile launcher, just like the Generation 1 version had. And then, of course, we have his gun, his regular rifle here, which is described in the instructions as a hollow beam refraction blaster. Basically, a hologram gun, which is what the Generation 1 version had his listed as. So, nice homages to the Generation 1 version. And of course, while this is basically the ammo drum, as you'll see when we put him in alt mode, it kind of doubles to resemble something like a spare tire. Again, a nice homage to the Generation 1 form. So let's get them flipped into their alternate modes and take a look at how they stack together. Now here we go with them in their alternate modes, and as you can see, there is some resemblance between the two. Although the original one was intended to be a real vehicle, as it is based to resemble a Mitsubishi-built Jeep, whereas the newer version is a Cybertronian version that kind of almost looks more like a Humvee in some respects. But it does bear some of the hallmarks from the original. They both have some features on the front bumper, and we got what would be side mirrors there along the sides, and it does have the star and Autobot insignias on the hood. And like I said, here on the back, we got the spare tire here, and one could presume this is intended to look like it, but it's clearly nowhere near the same size, but a nice small tribute all the same. Of course, how well do they compare on rolling? Well, the original one was on rubber tires and rolls very good. This one's on some bigger plastic wheels, and it doesn't roll too bad. Nowhere near as good as its original version, but it's certainly no slouch in that department. All in all, I do like the improvements that they did to this new Hound toy. It certainly makes up for a lot of the fragility that the original one had. Not that there was anything really that big of a downside on the original, because many of us were just happy to have one like it, but looking back on the original one now, the original toy was probably one that probably would have been better off being left out of the line due to how fragile it is. But we do have it for better or for worse, and now we have a new version that seems to live up to the legacy that the original left behind. And I kind of like how he's presented here in Cybertronian form. So, I think it's a nice improvement. At any rate, that's my review, that's my comparison, I should say, rather, of the Generation 1 and Siege versions of Hound. I hope everybody out there enjoyed this. If you like this video, again, leave me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and join our ranks. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you'll get notified when I post new content to YouTube. And also, share your thoughts about Hound in the comments section down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.